Hello there and welcome. As I told you previously, we are going to start a new format for this tutorial series, where each episode I will take a request made by the viewers and show you how to implement it. This is because at this point we already covered all the basic things, and now I want to focus on the things that you are actually interested in. So sometimes it will be one request per episode, and if these are small things, we might do a couple of them. So if you really want something, then please let me know in the comment section. In this episode, I selected a rather common feature in survival games. The request is to add durability to our weapons and tools. So the more we use them, the durability will decrease and eventually the item will be destroyed. Or maybe it will just break and then you will require to fix it. So in order to add this functionality, we are going to open our resources folder and we can find our different tools. We have the bow, we have the axe, and any other tool, maybe the fishing rod, although the fishing rod should not have durability. Maybe you will have other things as well. So we're going to take this axe for example, and you can see that we have our inventory item that goes into the inventory, and you also have the model. Now, it's not going to be a good idea to add the durability logic on the actual model because the model keeps getting destroyed each time we unequip it, right? So when we place it into the quick slot and we equip it, it's getting instantiated, and then when we unequip it, it simply destroys the object. So all of this logic will be lost. Instead, we want to place the logic on our inventory item the same way we have all the other logic. Now, we also don't want to add it into the inventory item script itself because some items will not require durability while others will require. Obviously, we can add the logic and have some kind of bool to maybe trigger the durability, but a better way will be to just create a new script that will be placed on all the items you want to have durability. So we're going to create this new script by adding a new script named durability, and this will be placed on our inventory item. Now inside we are going to add some logic, but before we do this, we also want to have a way to decrease the durability, right? But we cannot decrease it from the inventory item itself. We're going to decrease it when we actually hit something with our model. That's why we need to have another script on the actual model to trigger the logic inside the inventory item object. So we're going to create another script, and this will be some kind of durability proxy. So even if the model is getting destroyed, it will still keep the logic inside the inventory item. Now, as I told you, the point of this script will simply be to have some kind of connection to our inventory item because this will be placed on our model. Now, what we want to have inside, and this is the most important thing, is a reference to the durability script that we're going to have on the actual inventory item, durability. So this is the most important part. Then we also want to have a way to subscribe to an event inside the durability because when the durability reaches 0, we want to have some kind of event to basically destroy the model as well. So we're also going to do this, but this is the most important thing. We need a reference to the durability because then we're going to be able to reduce the durability when we need to. So inside the start method, we're going to check if the durability is not null. So if we actually have a reference to the durability, then we're going to subscribe to an event. We still don't have this event. Then inside the onDestroy, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to unsubscribe from the event. And we're also going to have a way to react to this event. So private void handle broken. And we're simply going to destroy this model. Not durability, but this game object. Right? Because imagine that you are using your axe and the durability has reached 0, then you want to destroy the model, and you want to do this both for the inventory item, but you also want to do this for the actual model. Now maybe in your game you don't want to destroy objects, maybe you want to destroy or break it first and then you will be able to fix it or something like that, but you should still destroy the model because we don't want to be able to use the item when the durability is 0. So even if you can fix it, we still want to destroy the model and only later we're going to be able to fix it. So this is something you still want to have. And this will basically be triggered when we invoke the event. Okay, so we still don't have this event. We're going to create it, and we're going to create it inside the durability script. So inside the durability script, we're going to have a couple of fields. We're going to have a public int max durability. It will be 100, but of course you can increase it. Maybe different items can have different durabilities. And we're going to have an current durability. Then we also want to have an option should break or should destroy on break. So this is the logic that I told you. Maybe you don't want some items to be destroyed when they are getting to 0, right? Maybe you want to keep them broken and then you will be able to fix them, but other things you do want to destroy when they reach 0. So if you change this bool from the inspector to true, then they are going to be destroyed, but if you set them to false, then they are not going to be destroyed. So it depends on your game. We are going to destroy the items when they reach 0, so that's why we're going to set this to be true. Then we also want to have an event, public event action on broken, and we need to add this namespace system. Yes. Now we want to have an awake to basically set the current durability to be the max durability. We want to have a method to check if the item is broken. So this is a helper method, bool is broken, return current durability is smaller or equals 0. So we can use this method to check if the item should be broken. And the main method will be to reduce the durability. So public void reduce, and we want to send the amount to reduce int amount. Now obviously you can also have other methods like public void fix, although fix is not a good name, so maybe increase durability or just increase. Maybe then you're going to provide an amount to increase. Maybe you want to fully increase. So maybe you want to completely fix the entire item. So you're going to basically take the current durability and set it to be the max durability. And here you can take the current durability and you can basically increase it by the amount. Obviously, you should also have some kind of if current durability is bigger than max durability, then set it to be the max, right? Or maybe you want to check if it's not full before you do this, right? Because we don't want to go over the max durability. If we reached 100, then we don't want to go beyond that. So we are not going to implement these. These are just examples that you can use, but it's very simple. You create some kind of NPC, maybe a blacksmith, then you're going to pay some money to this blacksmith, and he will loop over all of your weapons and call these methods, and this will basically fully fix the tool, and this will be fix the tool by amount. So maybe You can pay less money to fix a part of it, or maybe you can pay more money to fix the entire tool. So again, these are optional. You can use them. We are not going to actually implement this because it's really up to you if you want to even fix your tools. We are just going to reduce the amount and eventually we're going to break it. So inside this method, we're going to decrease the amount from the current durability, and then we're going to check if the durability is under 0. So it's very simple. And if it is, we're also going to make sure it stays at 0. It doesn't go to a negative number. And then we're going to trigger this unbroken event. We're going to invoke it. And when this is invoked, our durability proxy will know that the item was broken and it will know to destroy the actual model. Okay, so now we can say unbroken. Well, actually, we need a reference to the durability. Unbroken. And we're simply going to subscribe to it. And we're going to subscribe using this handle broken method. The same thing, we're going to unsubscribe because we don't want any issues later. So when the item is destroyed, we're going to unsubscribe from this event. So it's a rather simple script, but the important part is this reference here because we are going to be able to use it later to access this method. Now, other than that, we also want to check if we should actually destroy this item by using this bool. So if you set this bool to true, it will destroy the item. But if you set this to false, you can add some other logic. But if you did set this to be true, we're going to basically destroy the game object. And this game object is not the model. This is the inventory item. Right? So this will destroy the actual inventory item, but this thing over here will be triggered and then the proxy will know about it and this will destroy the actual model. Now, it's also not a good idea to destroy the inventory item without refreshing the inventory system because we're basically removing it from the inventory system, and the inventory system should know that the item was destroyed. Because usually, if we go to our inventory system, usually we use this method over here, this remove item method, and eventually inside of this method, at the end, we are recalculating the list and we are making sure the inventory system will know that the item was removed. But we cannot use this method because this method simply looks for an item and removes the amount. But we want to destroy this exact object because this object will be a specific tool with some specific durability. So we don't want to use this remove item method. This will find any axe inside of our inventory and destroy it. We want to destroy a specific axe, which is this axe. That's why we're simply going to destroy the item, and then we're going to refresh the inventory system by using this recalculate list and also crafting system instance refresh needed items. Okay, so that's all we need here. Now again, if you don't want the item to be destroyed, you should set this to be false, and then it's going to skip this and it's going to do some other logic. Maybe you want to prevent the item from being equipped. Maybe you just want the item to be unusable until you fix it. So it's really up to you what you want to do. But I think in most survival games, we just want to destroy the tool so you can go and craft another tool. So you always have to manage your tools and resources. In an RPG game, it's more common to actually fix your tools because you can have unique tools and things like that, so you don't want to just destroy them, but in survival games, it's more common to just destroy the item and craft a new one. So now that we have both of these scripts, one goes on our inventory item, this durability one, and we can also set the max durability to something else, but we have it on 100. We also want to make sure it's destroyed on break, and we have this durability proxy on our model. Now we are not going to set the reference over here because we don't really have a connection between them. They're still not created inside the game. We want to set this reference only when the game is running. So to do this, we're going to open our equip system. Over here, systems, equip system. And inside the equip system, we're going to scroll to our set equipped model. So remember, when we select the quick slot, it's going to go to the select quick slot, and then it's going to check the model and it's going to set the equipped model. So inside of this method, when we set and instantiate the new model, at the end, we also want to set this reference. So we're going to get this durability script. Selected item. Get component. Durability. Then we also want a reference to the durability proxy. So this will be taken from our actual inventory item that was passed in. So this is a mistake. This should be taken from the actual inventory item, okay? Because this is the inventory item. So we take this from the inventory item, but the proxy should be taken from our selected model. And then we're simply going to check if these items are found, because not all tools will have these. Some tools will not have durability, for example, a fishing rod or something like that. So it's going to check if they have a durability script or a proxy script. And if they actually found these components, we're going to set the proxy durability to be the durability. Okay, so we're basically setting a reference, right? So we basically connect our inventory item to our model, but this will only happen when we actually run the game. So we basically do this. We drag the axe model into the slot, but we're not doing this manually. Don't do this. This should be none. This will happen when we actually run the game over here, okay? So this should be empty, and we basically add this reference when we run the game. This is what happens over here. And then we're going to be able to access this durability and reduce the durability when we need to. So how to actually reduce the durability? We need to do this when we actually hit something, or for example, with our axe, we are also hitting trees, right? When we chop down trees. So each time we hit a tree, we want to reduce the durability. So we need to find this place, and we can find it inside the equipable item script. And this script goes on all the equipable items, but we mainly created this for the axe, for the swing and things like that. We don't have this on our fishing rod. We don't have this on our bow, I think. So this is more specific to the axe, because when we hit the tree, we also want to reduce the durability, but I'm also going to show you how to do this when we actually hit, let's say, the bear, right? When we attack animals, because this happens in a different place. So over here inside the equipable item, and we have this script on our actual axe. We can see it over here as well, equipable item, right? So inside, when we actually hit something, well, we actually trigger the animation, so we don't trigger this method inside of the script. We trigger the animation, but the animation itself, if we go to our model, let's just drag this model into the scene for a second. And over here, when we hit something and we trigger this animation, we can see this event over here that basically triggers this method. So this is something we added when we created this animation for the axe, for chopping the trees. And it's simply something you can do by adding this event, and then you select a method to call. So we're calling this getHit method from the animation itself. That's why over here, all we are doing is triggering this animation, but the animation itself will trigger this getHit method. So now over here, when we actually hit a tree, so it should be inside of this if, because only when we hit the tree, we're going to reduce the durability. So again, we're going to check if we have a proxy available. And we're getting this component from this equipable item because they are both on the same game object, right? We have the equipable item and we have the proxy, and they're both on the same model. So from this script, we are getting a reference to the proxy, and the proxy itself will have a reference to the durability. So we check if it's not null because some items will not have this proxy, but then we simply access the durability inside of the proxy because this durability is this durability over here, and this thing is basically our durability on the inventory item. So now that we can access it, we can also call this reduce method, and here we can provide the amount to reduce. Now it's really up to you, but if, for example, your max durability for the axe is 100 and you want each hit of the axe to reduce 1, then it's going to take you 100 hits of the axe to destroy the axe. But you can make this higher. Maybe you want to reduce a lower amount, maybe 0.5, although this will not work because we are using integers for the durability, so maybe you can change this to a float, but I think that 1 is a good amount. Obviously, you can even make it higher, like 5 or 20. In our example, let's just set it at 20, just so we can test this and we don't have to hit the tree 100 times, okay? This is just for testing. Obviously, we also don't want to hard code this, so maybe we create some kind of const to basically allow each tool to have its own reduction. So we can have a public const int durability reduction rate. Reduction rate. And we're going to set it to 1, or in our case 20, just for debugging. And then we're going to use this const over here so we don't have to hard code the number. And now each tool will have its own reduction rate, so different tools can have different rates. Now you can make it much more simple and just reduce 1 from each tool, but it's really up to you. So that's it. We're basically reducing the durability of the durability proxy, and the durability will be on our inventory item. So the inventory item will reduce its own durability, and when it reaches 0, it's going to destroy the item from the inventory, but it will also trigger this event, and our proxy will basically react to this event over here, and it will destroy the model as well. So all of this should work. So now if we go to our model, we should be able to see this. Well, we don't see it. I guess it's because it's a const. So maybe we don't want this to be a const. Let's just save this. Yes. Okay, so it should not be a const because we do want to change it for different tools. So maybe the axe model will have a reduction rate of 20. Obviously 20 is way too high. It means that it will take us 5 hits to destroy the entire axe, so this is not good. It should be something like 1, but just for testing, let's put it at 20. And we can save this prefab, although we don't really need to because all we did was change the script itself. So now everything should work. We have our axe with the durability, we have the axe model, and we have the equipable item. So all of this should work. Let's run the game. At this point, we don't have anything inside of our inventory. So let's craft an axe. Let's pick up these things over here. Let's create an axe. And now we have this inventory item. We can also find it inside of our inventory screen. And we can see that the durability is currently 100 and the current one is also 100. So now when we equip it and we press on 1, it's going to instantiate the model into the scene. So we can find the model over here. It's actually inside the player tool holder. And the model itself got the reference to the durability script on the inventory item. So now, when we hit the tree, it's going to call from this durability proxy. It will call, well, now it's not inside the inventory anymore, it's inside the quick slots. So quick slots, quick slot panel, here, axe. It's going to basically reduce the durability. So let's hit it. And we can see that it reduces the durability 20 points each time, because this is the rate we set. And when it reaches 0, it's going to destroy the model, and it's also going to destroy the inventory item. Obviously, you can add a sound at this point or something like that, so the player can know that the item was destroyed, but we don't have the item in the inventory, and we don't have it in our hands. And obviously, when we go to our inventory system, we can see that there is no item inside the inventory list. Okay, so everything was updated, and now the inventory knows that there is no axe. So all of this is working. The next issue is when we actually hit an animal, because we use a different method to hit an animal. And this is happening inside of our selection manager. So inside the selection manager, if we go to this part over here, when we point at an animal, if you remember, we're checking if it's dead, then we can loot it. And then we also check if we are in range, but over here, if it's not dead, we are basically checking if we are holding a weapon, and if there is no swing at this point, and we click on the mouse button, then we start a coroutine with this deal damage to animal, and we get the weapon damage from our weapon. So this is the new way we actually deal damage to the enemy. So inside of this method, deal damage, we basically get a reference to the animal and we deal damage, but we also want to reduce the durability of the weapon. And it's going to be very similar to what we did inside the equipable item. This thing over here, we're simply going to copy this and paste this over here. But again, we don't have this value over here, so we can either hard code it, or maybe we can create it at the top like we did before. For now, it's just going to reduce 1 durability. We also need to get the actual proxy, so we can do this by referencing the equip system instance selected item model, and we get the component from the axe, for example. And then each time we hit an animal, we are going to reduce the durability by 1. We can also make this happen here. Now, if you want to play some kind of sound when your weapon is destroyed, you should do this over here inside the reduce. Over here, so play tool broken sound. So now at this point, when we hit an animal, it should also reduce the durability. Now, we also want to update the UI because when we hover over items, we don't have them here, but when we hover over items, we have this panel. So maybe we also want to have some kind of durability shown to the player so the player can know how much durability the item has. So we're going to deal with this in a moment, but I also want to show you how to add this to our bow, because our bow doesn't actually hit the animal, it's the arrow that hits the animal. So on our bow, we can basically trigger this each time we shoot an arrow, right? Because it doesn't matter if the arrow hits the animal or we just shoot the arrow somewhere in the environment. It should still hurt or reduce the durability of the bow, right? So we don't care about the animal, we just care about when we are shooting an arrow. So we can add this durability script on our bow. We can set something else, and we can also add it on the actual model, so durability proxy. And now, inside of our bow script, our bow controller, which is also on the model, each time we shoot an arrow, we're going to basically reduce the durability. So this happens, bow shot sound, this thing over here, release arrow, and over here, we're actually shooting the arrow, okay? Shoot arrow. We can also do this here inside the shoot arrow. So at this point, when we shoot the arrow, we're going to do all of this logic, but we also want to reduce the durability. So we're going to say durability proxy, and we get the proxy from the item because, again, this will be on our bow controller, and our bow controller is on the same object as our durability proxy. So durability proxy, and then we're going to do the same. We're going to basically say if durability proxy is not null, then durability proxy, durability reduce, and we can reduce the durability of the bow. Again, this should not or doesn't have to be hard-coded. You can keep it hard-coded. You can have some kind of value up top, maybe for different kinds of bows. But this will reduce the durability. Now, we also need to make sure that we have this connection to this durability, because when we equip the bow, I think it happens here as well, right? Set equip model, calculate item model. Yes, we're also using this for the bow. Just remember, each time you create a new model, you should add it over here, so it actually generates and instantiates the right model, but we added this over here, so it will add the reference to the bow as well. Okay, so now by having this inside the shoot arrow, we're going to reduce the durability of the bow as well, right? Because we don't care about the arrows, we care about the bow. And we can see this. Let's buy the bow, buy system. Let's add another item, 6. Bow. Price, let's say 20. And now we can buy this from the shop just to test it. Let's buy this bow. Let's also buy an arrow. And now, when we instantiate the bow, we can find it in our player over here. And we actually see the reference. Okay, so we got the reference, but we are going to see the actual info inside of our quick slots bow, so we have this durability, and now when we shoot, it doesn't matter if we hit something or if we just shoot an arrow, it will reduce the durability. You can see. Yeah, we don't have any more arrows, but this is working as well. Now we want to add this to the UI. So the UI is this inventory screen, item info panel. So let's just make this visible. This item info panel, and here we're going to add another text. So we're going to add some kind of UI, Text Mesh Pro. We're going to change this to durability. We're going to change the font to use our Reggae 1 font, black. It looks different because this is a Text Mesh Pro, but the ones that we used before are not even Text Mesh Pro. That's why it looks a bit different. In your game, you can make all of them Text Mesh Pro. I'm just going to make it a bit smaller. I'm going to... This will be something like durability, and then it will be like 0 out of 100. So we should make it a bit smaller. And maybe center it over here, something like that, okay? Okay, so this is the way it's going to look at first, and then it's going to reduce it. Now we are going to basically, where is it? Durability, we're going to... You can keep it like this, you can just remove it because we're going to set it from the code. But now we need a reference to this durability. So inside of our inventory system, we need a reference. The same way we have all of these. Actually, it's not in the inventory system. Oh, it's the inventory item, right? Because we don't have a reference here. We have it inside the inventory item. So let's find our inventory item. And here we have references. So we're going to have private text mesh pro. And this will be item durability, UI. Item durability, and we also we don't want to actually add this because we're going to get this from our durability script. So let's just name this item info UI durability, and then we also need to get this inside the start method, item info UI. And we're going to do this because we cannot add this over here from the inspector because this item is going to be instantiated in the middle of the game, right? We cannot do this by simply dragging it. That's why it's private. We're going to do this only when the item is actually created. So transform, and this should be named, this should be Text Mesh Pro. And the name should be exactly like we have it here. Let's see, durability, okay? So let's make sure it's the same thing, durability. And now it's going to find this durability on the item info panel, and this will be found from our inventory system. It's going to set the reference, and then we can set it when we set all of these, when we hover with our mouse on pointer enter. So we're going to do this. So it should be this info item durability, text, and we're going to set the value, but the value will not come from some kind of local data, right? It's not going to be data available on the inventory item. This should come from our durability script. So durability, get component, durability, and then we're simply going to check if, right? We can do this, we can just do this, it doesn't matter. If we have the durability script, then we're going to set the durability, current durability. Let's just make it a bit nicer. Right, we basically want to display durability, our current durability / max durability. And now all of this should work. Of course, we also, yeah, that's it. I guess that's all. Let's save everything. Let's craft the axe. And even now we can hover and it will say durability 100 from 100. It moved a bit. Anyway, we can fix it, but now it's 100 out of 100. And if we actually equip it, right, the player doesn't have access to the inspector. He only can know information from the game itself. So now, if we go and hover, we can see that the durability is at 60. Now, if it's really important to you, you can let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to show you how to create a way to fix the tool. Maybe we're going to do this with our shop NPC. Maybe we're going to add some kind of option to fix an item or something like that. If it's really important to you, then let me know. I'm going to show you how to do this, but this is enough for one episode. And in the next episode, we're going to find the new requests and we're going to learn how to implement it. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're still not a subscriber. You can also become a member of the channel and get access to our private Discord server. You can also ask me anything in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.